Springboard Roadshow Foundation, in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation and Solidaridad, present CoRe, the COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience Program.
Hello, I'm Gary L. Smith, and I'm a broadcaster with Joy News. I'm excited to be a CoRe ambassador because CoRe sits at the nexus of what I do. As a sports journalist, I reach out to millions of people daily via television, radio, and digital media. In particular, digital media is where I like to play because it helps me to reach out, especially to people between the ages of about 18 to 35. They say they are the future leaders. Well, I'll leave that for you to judge. However, the future leaders have become very topical because in the fight against COVID-19, we believe that they will lead the charge. And speaking of COVID-19, I don't know if you know, I am a survivor of the disease. Yes, I went, I saw, and I kicked it in the face. COVID-19 is not a death sentence. Indeed, for me, it's been a blessing in disguise, but more about that later. So how did I get COVID-19? I wish I knew. What I do know is that one day I started feeling symptoms of COVID-19. That is to say, I could not smell and I could not taste. I particularly like peppery foods. One morning, I went to have my bath and I realized I could not smell my disinfectant. But even more disturbing for me as a gunman was that when I went to have my favorite banku and shito, I could not taste the shito. I knew then that there was a problem. So I went ahead to call a couple of people who I knew could help me go for a COVID test, and that is what I did. A couple of days later, my COVID test came out and it was positive. The public health nurse told me in a meeting, she called me and asked to meet. She didn't tell me over the phone, something which I am grateful for. She met me and then broke the news personally to me that my test had come out positive. It was a very interesting experience because prior to that, I'd been very, very vocal about COVID-19. Right from the day when COVID-19 first came to Ghana on the 12th of March 2020, I began updating my followers with that information, and people started calling me COVID ambassador way before I actually had COVID in itself. And so COVID-19 is something I've been taking seriously, and that is something I want to stress here. The fact that you are educated about COVID-19 does not make you immune to it. The fact that you are careful about protecting yourself against COVID-19 does not mean you would not get it, as in my case. Where I'm concerned, I was doing everything possible to avoid the disease. I was washing my hands regularly, I was hand sanitizing, I was making sure that I was not going to a lot of places. My movements were largely restricted to work from home, and other familiar places that I would usually go to. But COVID is no respecter of persons. So once I was given the news that I am COVID positive, the next step was to decide whether I could self-isolate or not. Unfortunately, because I have a child, very young child, and I live with my wife, and basically our settings did not make it too good and the best thing to self-isolate, we chose the option of being treated at a hospital. So, as it turned out, I was admitted the following day at the University of Ghana Medical Center. There, I spent about 10 to 11 days where I, went through the treatment and all that. But more importantly for me, I realized that once I've got it, the best thing to do was to allow my experience to tell the story in itself. And that is what I did. While in hospital, I spoke about how I was feeling, my symptoms, days I was sick. I spoke also on television regularly about stigma, which I realized had become a big issue. And I also spoke about hope. You see, in my personal opinion, when you have COVID-19, or if you get COVID-19, one of the most important things, even more than the medical treatment, is to fill your soul and spirit with hope and positivity. I'm of the opinion that negative vibes will kill you faster than the disease itself. In that respect, I am thankful for the lives of my very close friends, my colleagues at work, and also my family. They were absolutely incredible in keeping my spirits up, in making sure that I never entered the pit of depression. This is important because a lot of the people I met while on admission did not have that privilege. Many people who have COVID-19 are subjected to many kinds of stigmatization. And here, I'll introduce you to a few. There's something called self-stigmatization. That is to say, people feel sorry for themselves, they blame themselves, and they feel like failures because they have COVID-19. And that alone can be a serious problem. For people like that, it is imperative and important that their support system, that is, the people around them, like their family, their friends, their church colleagues, or their people they go to the mosque with, or generally people they associate and fraternize with, come to their aid. If you know anybody with COVID-19, please make it a point to reach out to them, encourage them, call them, and make them feel like there is hope, because really, there is hope. How do I explain the hope in COVID-19? Currently, we know that there are thousands of recovered patients of COVID-19 in Ghana. It means then that there are many such stories like me around that can inspire you. If you have recovered from COVID-19, this is your opportunity to speak up because your voice matters. And your voice can help somebody who is feeling low, who is feeling depressed, and who is feeling like there is no end in sight from this dangerous disease. Once I was coming to the end of my hospitalization at the University of Ghana Medical Center, I had the option of stopping my advocacy or continuing with it. Mind you, while I was at the UGMC, I was continuously feeling fatigued. There were days that I was tired, and there were days that I felt low, even though I had a lot of support. And so it took a mental toll on me as well. I was encouraged to sleep a lot, but don't tell my wife this. I'm not the kind of person that likes to buckle down and just be, quiet. I like to use my voice, and I like my job. So even while I was in the hospital, I was regularly keeping myself busy. And guess what? I found out that mentally stimulating myself was also an incredibly important part of the recovery process. Because once I kept on reading, once I kept on engaging myself and writing, I found out that I gave myself little time to have any self-pity, or to feel sorry for myself, or to have self-stigma. If you have COVID-19, I'd recommend these to you also. Read a lot, engage in any activity that you love. If it is movies that you like doing, please do so. I found a lot of people doing that, watching their favorite series or watching television, or generally, playing some games on their phone or whatever it is that made sure that they did not feel alone or lonesome. I have spoken about self-stigmatization, but there are other kinds of stigmatization. The other one you may not know about is called courtesy stigma. Courtesy stigma. Now, what is courtesy stigma? Courtesy stigma is as the word implies, stigmatizing somebody on behalf of somebody else. So, for example, in my case, my wife did not have COVID-19, but unfortunately, she found out that people around her were stigmatizing her on my behalf. How ridiculous is that? So, what happens is that when somebody has COVID-19, they may find out that either their siblings or their parents, their family, or their colleagues at work or wherever it is are being stigmatized because they know them. So again, in my case, I had my mother having some of her friends and some people who were close to her not patronizing her services and her wares because her son had COVID-19. Courtesy stigma or self-stigma is absolutely no-no, but especially courtesy stigma because we can do better. There is absolutely no need to stigmatize people with COVID-19 because they can contribute to society even while they are recovering. I have, because of my position, been an ear for many people who cannot speak to their families, their close friends, because of stigmatization. And what I have found is that these people, even while they are self-isolating or they are being treated, have more often than not been able to continue working from home through their phones or through the power of technology. And they contribute similarly and equally as well as when they were or they are in fit and physical condition. Once I've spoken about stigmatization, I'd like to use this opportunity to extend a hand of gratitude to all the amazing people who took care of me, who took care of all the people I met at the University of Ghana Medical Center, and those who continue to be at the front lines to fight this disease. Frontline workers and health workers in general, they are the champions of this COVID-19 fight. From the lab technicians, to the doctors, to those in the ICUs, to the pharmacists, the psychologists, there are people whose job it is just to clean the windows of those facilities. We have them to thank as well. Let's always remember them in our prayers. Let's always maintain that they be treated well, they be given what they are needed, so that they can in turn take care of us. The 3 lessons I think I can summarize my COVID experience into are: 1, be there for others. Let's support each other through the COVID-19 experience. Why? Because it could be you. 2, and perhaps most importantly, please pay attention to the protocols that are available. Very important. You, trust me, do not want to get COVID-19, meaning that hand sanitize, wash your hands regularly, and generally follow all the protocols that you know will help you. 3, I have decided that COVID-19 has been a blessing for me. You can decide that too. Why do I say so? You can use your COVID-19 experience to reach out to people who feel low, who feel hopeless, and who feel that this is the end of their lives. Most importantly, it has been a blessing for me because I have become an ambassador, not just in my home, not just at my workplace, but also in the community at large. And that is how COVID-19 has brought me to be a CoRe ambassador, and that's how I'm speaking with you. Thank you for listening to this message on COVID-19. You can use the power of positive thinking, faith, and hope to turn your negative experience around. My name is Gary Al Smith, and I am a broadcaster. I have been excited to be part of this CoRe program because it has put me in touch with people like you. You can get more information on this worksheet, on this video, on this lesson on core.com.gh, where you can get more supplementary material and hear more amazing life stories of people who have been resilient and are powering and are moving forward with their lives despite COVID-19. God bless you and have hope in yourselves.
A presentation of CoRe, the COVID-19 Recovery and Resilience Program.